You explain yourself, and somehow it still doesn't land. You try again, slower this time, and it still gets twisted into something you never meant. If you've ever left a conversation feeling completely unheard, this video is for you. Because there are 7 very specific reasons this keeps happening, and almost none of them are your fault. Before we get into it, quick honesty check. If you've ever repeated yourself 3 times and still felt misunderstood, comment the number 1 right now. It's going to matter later. Most people assume being misunderstood means they explain things badly, so they over-explain, simplify, apologize for their own thoughts, and it still doesn't work. That's because the problem was never how you're saying it. It's what's happening on the other end of the conversation. Communication researchers have actually studied this exact frustration, why some people feel chronically unheard, no matter how clearly they speak. And it comes down to 7 specific, repeatable reasons. Once you see them, you'll stop blaming yourself for something that was never really about you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why people keep missing what you mean. And once you see the pattern, you'll never take it personally again. Reason 1. You process before you speak. Most people think out loud. Their words arrive as the thought is forming. You do the opposite. You think it through first, then speak. So by the time you say something, it's already 3 steps ahead of where the conversation is. To everyone else, it can feel like you jumped somewhere they never went. Reason 2. You notice what's unsaid. A pause, a change in tone, a look that lasted half a second too long. You catch all of it. So when you respond to what's actually happening, instead of just the words being said, people don't always realize what you're reacting to. It looks like you're reading too much into things. Really, you're just reading the whole page. Reason 3. Your emotional vocabulary is bigger than theirs. You don't just feel good or bad. You feel a specific, layered version of it. But most everyday language wasn't built for that kind of precision. So when you try to describe exactly what you're feeling, it can come out sounding complicated, when really, it's just accurate. Quick pause. Does any of this sound familiar so far? If even one of these reasons has already hit close to home, comment "Makes sense now" below. I want to see how many of you actually experience conversations this way. Reason 4. You ask questions most people aren't ready for. You don't just want to know what happened. You want to know why it happened, what it means, where it leads. That kind of question can catch people off guard because most conversations are built to stay on the surface, and you keep gently pulling them deeper. Reason 5. You don't perform emotions the way people expect. Some people show excitement loudly, sadness visibly, stress obviously. You might feel all of that just as strongly, but quietly, internally, without the outward signals people are used to reading. So, they assume you're fine or unaffected, when really, you're just processing it differently, not less. Reason 6. Your timing is different. You might need a day to process something before you can talk about it, while everyone else wants to hash it out immediately. By the time you're ready to respond fully, the moment has often already passed for them, and it can look like you didn't care, when really, you just needed more time to care correctly. Reason 7. And this one ties everything together. You'd rather be honest than easy to be around. You don't sugarcoat things just to keep the peace, and you don't pretend to agree just to avoid tension. That honesty is rare, and it can make people uncomfortable, not because you're difficult, but because most conversations aren't used to that much truth. Look at all 7 again. None of them mean you communicate badly. They mean you communicate at a depth that most everyday conversation was never designed to hold. You're not hard to talk to. You're just having a different kind of conversation than the one most people are used to. And here's the interesting part. This isn't just a personal feeling. Communication research on high-context thinkers has found that some people naturally process more layers of meaning per exchange than others. It's not a communication flaw. It's a difference in processing depth, and most conversations simply aren't built to keep up. Think about the last time you tried to explain exactly how you felt, chose your words carefully, and still watched someone's face go blank. That blank look isn't proof you did something wrong. It's proof you were speaking a level deeper than the conversation was ready for. From the outside, people sometimes call this too intense, or too sensitive, or hard to read. But what's actually happening is someone who refuses to shrink their thoughts, their feelings, or their honesty just to be easier to keep up with. That's not a problem to fix. That's a depth most conversations simply haven't caught up to yet. You were never too complicated or too hard to talk to. You were someone communicating at a depth most people simply haven't learned to meet yet. And the right people, when you find them, will never make you shrink to be understood. So let's recap first. You think before you speak. You notice what's unsaid. Your emotions run deeper than simple words. You ask the harder question. You feel things quietly. You need time to process. And you choose honesty over ease. If most of these describe you, you're not hard to understand. You're just waiting for people who listen at your depth. Now, I want to know, out of all 7, which one hit the hardest? Drop the number in the comments. And if this explained more about yourself than you expected, that's exactly what this channel is built around. Understanding why you are the way you are. So subscribe if you want more of this, and I'll see you in the next one.